Grew up hunting in the woods, spent my most of the nights in tents alone, and been deep into more places than most folks would even think about. That day, we were in Maine woods, hiking the Appalachian Trail, heading through the thickest, loneliest section of it. That 100-mile wilderness, miles and miles of untouched forest, no roads, and that was the toughest plan I even made in my life. My friend, Galen and we'd been talking about this trip for months. He's a stickler for details, always got maps laid out and a route planned to the second, but I just wanted to get away from the grind, disconnect. We weren't trying to break any records or do anything crazy, just two guys pushing through the woods with a few packs and some basic gear, hoping for some peace. We'd been at it for hours when we decided to take a break in a little clearing, a patch of open space where the sun actually hit the ground for a change. I'd been in the woods long enough to know how it feels when the air shifts, how it gets heavy, but this time it felt different. The clearing wasn't like the usual spots we'd rested at. This one had a strange vibe, and I couldn't put my finger on it. The whole thing was still, just dead silence. Galen pulled out his map, always double-checking his coordinates, while I chugged some water. I was still thinking about the trail, wondering if we were going too far out, when it happened. It came out of nowhere. 1 second, we're just sitting there, and then the massive shadow stretches across us, blotting out the sun like it was some kind of dark cloud rolling overhead. But there weren't no clouds. The sky was clear, not a single puff of white in sight. The shadow didn't make a sound, just moved across us like it had a mind of its own. It was huge, too big for any bird, too fast for anything natural. I swear, for a second, I thought the world had gone black. We both froze. Galen looked at me like he'd just seen a ghost, eyes wide, jaw slack. I couldn't get my bearings. My heart started pounding like it was trying to break through my ribs. The air shifted, too cold, like it came from nowhere. And then it appeared for just a minute. Then the shadow was gone, but the wind stuck around, cold as hell, cutting through the trees like it had a purpose. I don't know what it was. I don't know what I saw, but I damn sure I didn't feel right after that. We sat there for a few minutes, staring at each other. The woods were completely still, not a single sound. You ever feel like something's staring at you even when you can't see it? That's what it felt like. But you don't want to admit it. Not out loud anyway. Galen was the first to speak. Did you see that? Oh, God. Yeah, I said, but I didn't know what else to add. It was so damn weird that my brain couldn't even process it. I tried to tell myself it was just a bird, maybe a huge one that cast a long shadow. But that didn't make sense either. There was no bird, no sound, just the damn shadow. Galen kept flipping through the map, his hands shaking like he was trying to find a reason for it all. He didn't want to admit it either. Could have been a hawk or something. Big one. Yeah, a hawk the size of a damn plane. That's a hell of a bird, right? I shook my head. No. No way. We didn't talk for a minute. The wind had died down. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. But Galen, ever the optimist, started trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was just a freak weather thing, some anomaly in the air that caused the shadow, but I knew that wasn't it. We should head back, I said, finally breaking the silence. We left that damn clearing and headed off the trail. It was too damn weird. I looked at Galen, and I could see it in his eyes. He didn't believe it either. He was trying to make himself believe it, but it wasn't working. Nothing about that felt natural. So, we cut the trip short, packed up, and drove out of the wilderness. But the thing is, there's no explanation, no answers. We just left, and I don't know what was in those woods. I don't know what it was that passed over us that day. My name's Lucas, but everybody calls me Luke. Anyway, This story starts with a weekend trip to a buddy's cabin in the backwoods of Pennsylvania. The whole trip was supposed to be a chill escape from school and the crap that goes down back home. My buddy Wade and his family, living out in the sticks, far from the nearest town. Wade's family ran a farm up there. Not the kind of place I usually visit, but I figured I'd give it a shot. The first night I got there, things were pretty calm. We had a decent dinner, shot the breeze about old times, and I went to bed pretty late. Still a little freaked out about how quiet it was. You ever been somewhere so remote? The quiet feels like it's gonna swallow you up. That's how it felt there. I tried to sleep. Wade had warned me that things could get a little creepy out there, but I didn't take him seriously. What was I thinking? That I could just chill in the middle of nowhere without anything weird happening? Hell no. The second night, I woke up in the middle of the night. It was past midnight. The house was dead quiet, too quiet. I thought it was just me being jumpy, but then I heard it. A noise. A slow creak, like someone was creeping around the house. My instincts kicked in like they always do. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, one of those heavy, old cast iron skillets that Wade's mom kept on the kitchen counter. I figured if I was about to face down some crazy thing out in those woods, a skillet would at least give me a chance. I wasn't about to just lay there like a sucker. I snuck into the living room. A door I'd definitely locked before was wide open. That was enough for me. I pressed my back against the wall, holding my breath, just trying to hear what was going on. And then I heard the voices. "Where's the cash?" One of them hissed. The other one mumbled something I couldn't make out. They were here for violent business. I didn't know what I was dealing with yet, but I wasn't sticking around to find out. I moved towards the door, just a sliver of space between me and the two bastards who had come to wreck my night. They didn't even notice me at first, too busy rifling through Wade's stuff. I wasn't gonna let them get the jump on me. I squared up and swung the skillet like I was ready to knock a damn bear out. The first guy barely had time to turn before I caught him in the shoulder. He dropped, yelping, but his buddy wasn't having it. He pulled a knife and swung at me, just a hair away from slicing open my ribs. I ducked low, grabbed the first thing I could, a damn lamp, and smashed it over his head. The guy staggered back, but he didn't go down. He was pissed now, real pissed, and I was on the edge of panic. No way to get help, and I was alone with two psycho thieves who had no problem getting violent. My heart was beating so fast I thought it might just break through my ribs. It felt like a damn eternity in there, struggling with them, dodging knives, swinging whatever I could get my hands on. I was starting to think I wasn't going to make it out of this when I heard it. A loud bang. A door kicked open. I don't know if it was luck, but I didn't wait to see who it was. I ducked into the corner, ready for the next guy to come at me. But then I heard a voice that I knew damn well. "Get your hands off, you sons of bitches." It was Wade's dad, big guy, country strong, armed with what looked like a damn shotgun. It didn't take much for him to push the intruders back. One of them bolted, but the other was too slow. He didn't even hesitate. He leveled that shotgun at the guy and told him to drop the knife. The guy was shaking, his eyes wide, but he dropped in fear. By the time the police showed up, those guys were long gone. They couldn't even catch a glimpse of them. No one was dead, but my heart was still pounding. I remember looking out the window, watching the flashing red and blue lights, and feeling this kind of cold sweat break out all over me. Wade's mom came in, and I'll never forget the way she looked at me. She was relieved, sure, but she had this look like she was already thinking of the next time it might happen, wondering if I was safe enough to stick around. Wade didn't even know what had gone down. He'd been knocked out cold, asleep in his room, blissfully unaware of the shit show that just went down in his living room. I sat there in a daze, trying to wrap my head around it. After the cops left, I didn't get a good night's sleep. I kept looking out the windows, convinced someone was out there. Wade's family was shaken up too. I guess that's how things change, right? I'll never forget that feeling, how everything can flip on you in a split second. I'm not a kid anymore. Not after that night. I was coming back from Asheville with my grandparents, both well into their 70s, riding in the front seats of my Honda. We'd spent the past few days visiting family, mostly eating too much and listening to my grandpa argue politics with my uncle over sweet tea and burnt ribs. It was a long drive back to our little patch of land up near Elkins, West Virginia, and I wanted to shave a good hour off the trip. So when the GPS offered a shortcut through the back end of the woods, I took it. We were deep in the hills, way past cell service, when we pulled off to refuel at a crusty little gas station, crooked off a gravel road. The kind of place where the signboards had bullet holes and the air smelled like oil and moldy jerky. My grandpa shuffled inside to stretch his legs, and I was just tightening the gas cap when this guy walks over to us. Tall, scruffy, with these sunken eyes like he hadn't slept in days. "Don't take the old road," he says. "You keep to the main highway. Don't go up through shortcut." I squinted at him. "Why?" He looked over his shoulder. "People get jacked out there. Happens a lot. You see isolated road and thick trees. That's where they wait." I thanked him, but I was already annoyed. Thought he was just another local trying to spook tourists. Probably just high or crazy. We got back in the car. My grandma was humming an old hymn. I punched the shortcut into the GPS and took that left anyway. 10 minutes in, the pavement turned to gravel. 20 minutes in, there were no more houses. Just trees, thick, gnarled, bone-dry trees pressing in on both sides. I cranked the heater to cut through the mountain chill, but it wasn't the cold that made my skin crawl. It was too damn quiet. My grandma stopped humming. Then, from the woods, something moved. It was just a flicker at first, shadow slipping between the trees. My gut went tight. I slowed down, squinting through the windshield. And then the bastard came out of nowhere. A man burst from the tree line, maybe 20 yards ahead. He was sprinting full tilt toward the car, face wild, a crowbar swinging in one hand. His clothes were torn, mud up to his knees. I slammed my foot down. The guy got close, so close, I saw his face clearly, but I didn't stop. Even I floored it. Crowbar hit the back quarter panel with a loud crack, and I didn't look back. Just kept going. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely keep the wheel straight. Grandma gasped, but didn't scream. Grandpa muttered something about damn mountain freaks and gripped the handle. We didn't stop, just kept driving. I pulled into a diner parking lot and just sat there, heart hammering. Nobody said a word for a minute. Then Grandma said, "That's why you don't take logging roads after dark. You should have listened to that guy." She looked me dead in the eye and added, "They wait in the trees." Just like that man said. I felt sick. Not just because of what almost happened, but because I realized something worse. That man looking for a car to rob. That's the part that keeps me up still. They wait, not just to rob you, but also they wait to pull you out, piece by piece. Those thick trees. They hide everything, their weapons, their plan, everything. That night was one of the most terrifying of my life, driving out of those deep, shadowy sections of the Appalachian Mountains, an area with many chilling stories behind that left me convinced the stories weren't just tales.